guys, I'm Nicole. I am so unbelievably excited, like beyond excited, to be bringing you some meditations to practice at home, either on your couch, laying in bed, sitting in your own meditation space that you've created for yourself, wherever you're most comfortable. I'm a huge fan of movement and a huge believer in keeping the body physically healthy and physically active and moving. Meditation is kind of, for me, the next level of dropping into the practice, and this combination of movement in the body and then finding this stillness and introspective gaze and study really of our experience, that combination is magic, and it's the thing that unlocks freedom. I really believe it. So thank you for joining, and go ahead and get comfortable. That might mean you sit, like I said, couch, floor, bed, wherever you need to hang to drop in.
Let the start of the practice be just a simple closing of the eyes. The closing of the eyes symbolizes not a shut off to the world, but a flip of the gaze so that we're turning inward. And even that is so powerful. In yoga, we speak of this term called svadhyaya, a Sanskrit word for self-study. Let these first moments just simply bring us there. And I encourage, and you really don't need to deepen the breath, but know that it's a tool that you could bring awareness to the breath. Sometimes when the mind is wandering and it needs something to focus on, the breath is a really good access point to the here and now, and it's an access point to the body. In today's meditation, I'm speaking to this idea of releasing control over our experience. And even saying that out loud, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a big one. But as Pema Chodron says, we kill the moment when we try to control it, when we try to control the experience. And then we don't actually experience what's really truly here. And I'd like to just acknowledge that I think at some point we all do it, and I think at a lot of points we all do it, and oftentimes without even recognizing it. And so that's what this practice is about. It's not that all of a sudden we walk away after 10 minutes and no longer have any sensation of control over what's going on, but it's beginning to recognize it and beginning to catch ourselves when it happens, and with as much compassion as we can muster, letting it go. And we call it a practice because it is that. As with anything, we do it again and again and again before we get it right. Take a couple cycles of breath here, even just noticing what that brings up in the body, and you could even pinpoint it. Does it cause a tightening or a relaxing or an anxiousness or an ease? I was listening to Alan Watts, who's an incredible philosopher, and he was telling the story about how we have about as much control as the child sitting in the back seat with a plastic steering wheel, moving the steering wheel as if the child was driving the car. And I think that's a beautiful example and maybe an opportunity to laugh at ourselves when we catch ourselves in the moment of trying to grasp to what's going on. It reminds me of Tara Brach speaking to the fact that oftentimes when we're really clinging to something, that there's actually something on the other side that we might be avoiding. And so when we find ourselves in these moments of control or grasping to a situation, thinking it should be a certain specific way, that we could ask, what is on the other side of this that I maybe don't want to feel? If that fear, if whatever it is that could happen if things don't go my way, if that worst fear came true, what's there that I am avoiding feeling? And I just really want to say that what's on the other side of that thing that you don't want to feel, what's on the other side of that is your freedom. And to acknowledge that the practice of meditation and the practice of yoga at its root and at its foundation, the practice wants your freedom. I recently read something somewhere. I like to credit people where it's due, but I don't remember where this one came from. But it says, "The secret waits for eyes that are unclouded by longing." The secret waits for eyes that are unclouded by longing. Which speaks to this idea that if we uncloud ourselves, uncloud our vision and perspective from what we think should be happening, that controlling of what's in front of us, that on the other side of that, there's something a lot bigger and something that is going to serve us so much more. And one of my all-time favorite books is When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. And I just like to share a quote as we finish up this meditation and take the last minute in silence. And the quote says, "Ultimately, it comes down to the question of just how willing we are to lighten up and to loosen our grip. And how honest do we want to be with ourselves? I'd like to offer that this last full minute be in stillness together. So keep the eyes closed. Keep the body relaxed and supported. So before we come back, I'd just like to acknowledge that what we're doing in these meditations is building tools and clocking time in this space with an inward gaze, so that when we do and as we do go back out into our daily lives and engaging with the people around us and cultivating a deeper connection to ourselves and therefore to the world, that the practice begins to expand from this 10 minutes into the rest of the day. So you could start transitioning out with a deep breath, maybe even opening the mouth for the exhale. With an acknowledgement that a new type of meditation begins the moment that you open your eyes. Let the eyes just barely crack open to start, letting in just a little bit of light and giving yourself transition. Eyes could open a little bit more, and eventually eyes open all the way. And you might take a couple of minutes here in kind of an open-eyed stillness and silence as a transition back out into the day.